Hello, 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 and welcome to Rainbows Rising, where we ascend together. I'm your host, Rainbow Raja, life coach and shamanic practitioner, and today we have a very inspiring guest. Welcome, Gail Lynn.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
I'm excited to have you on today as well. So let's let's talk a little bit about what it is you do, and what makes you an experienced earth bender.
Oh, I like it. Oh, well, where do we start? Right now in the world, people are struggling. People are in survival mode. So this is perfect timing for you to talk about the earth element because it is about survival, food, shelter. If you look at the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, food, shelter, and money is what we need for survival. So I'm sure a lot of root chakras, which is the earth chakra, are probably needing some attention. So what it makes me? Well, I live on a nice piece of land and I hug trees a lot. That doesn't make me an expert,
Who doesn't
but
love hugging
right,
trees?
right. So I was going to say at the end of this, go hug a tree, but I'm going to say it now. It's so fun. So I grew up in Detroit, blue collar family. I put myself through college, evenings and weekends. I had step kids, so it was really hard. When I was 18, I joined my father in the automotive industry on, just a really low paid engineering assistant and, slowly made myself who I am today. I worked my way up to project manager, really high profile projects. And I want to inspire your audience. I, I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth, but I had a yearning to actually make a difference in the world. And it wasn't in automotive. And then I moved over to telecommunications. And I didn't find how I could make a difference in the world there either. And then I ended up in Hollywood. And my boyfriend at the time was Elvis Presley's stepbrother. Okay, don't laugh. Don't have time
No,
to,
that's
I
that's
don't,
interesting.
yeah.
That is so interesting. He had a step. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I
Vernon
need to I
Presley
need to
was,
know, what was it
okay.
like dating a low-key celebrity?
Oh my God. It was fun all the time. It was fun because he moved into the Graceland Mansion when he was 4. His name is David Stanley. Everybody can look him up. And when Gladys Presley passed away, Vernon Presley married Dee Stanley, who was his mom, and his name was David Stanley. So it was a
Wow.
whirlwind. And, he said, oh my gosh, he was doing motivational speaking. So I learned a lot from him about the stage presence, which he learned from Elvis. He was 4 years old when he met, you know, um, Elvis
The King
Presley.
of
And who was,
Rock.
right? Who was Elvis Presley? I always thought that's like knowing Mickey Mouse. Nobody knew Elvis Presley because it was just an icon.
Right.
And he didn't know what blue suede shoes were or a hound dog, but he knew that people loved this guy. And so he was with him from ages 4 until he passed away. He was part of the Memphis Mafia. He went on tour with him. Elvis took him out of school when he was 16 and took him on the road. And that had to
Wow.
be crazy. I'm sure his mom went crazy. But, I learned a lot from him because, he was telling everybody, do your dream, do your dream. And
Hmm.
I was seeing him not doing his dream. So I said to him one day, I'm like, dude, why aren't you doing your dream? And he said, well, when Elvis Presley is your father figure, your mentor, your boss, your everything, people want to be better than their parents. They want to be better than their father figures. And so I said, well, what was it that Elvis couldn't do? And he's like, nothing. Elvis could do anything he wanted to. He could walk into the president's office. He could get a police badge from every city that he visited. He could do anything. I said, no, there had to be something that Elvis couldn't do. And he thought about it for a long time and he said, well, he always wanted to direct a film and Colonel Parker would not let him. I said, well, I guess you're directing a film. And he was like, are you crazy? And, I am crazy because I feel like I don't want to have any regrets when I leave this planet. I want to be sliding into home base, safe, done. I
Right.
did it all. And that's where I am. I'm doing it all. And I failed a ton. And so he didn't want to fail. I could feel he didn't want to fail. I said, well, if you don't try, that's
You're
not
already
good.
failing.
Right. So he said, okay, well, what do you know about making a movie? I go, well, it can't be that hard. I did project management for 25 years. Oh my God. It was the hardest thing I ever did. It took us 7 years. We
Wow.
raised $3 million and we shot a film that was more of a docudrama. So the story goes, um, 16-year-old boy goes to work for his world famous stepbrother, who happened to be Elvis Presley, and protects him from everything but ultimately himself. He couldn't protect Elvis from himself. So it was an amazing experience, but it was hard because he spent money like Elvis, and I was always on a budget. I mean, I use
Mm-hmm.
coupons, I shop at thrift stores. My whole life's been about saving money, and he would spend like he was Elvis, and it was crazy to watch, and it would scare me. But he had no fear around it, and the money would just
Mm-hmm.
show up. Like, he was a manifester. He was a charismatic, extemporaneous communicator, and I learned a lot from him. But he was also like Elvis. So, I'd walk in the room, he's got his hand on a girl's butt, right? And I was like, okay, we're kind of dating, and I'm not cool with that. I'm just not
Yeah.
cool with that. So there was a lot of challenges. But I could have just sank into some, depression and decided, oh, woe is me, my boyfriend's cheating on me or whatever. But that's what I want people to realize, that, we have to take these failures and get back up. There's a song, I get knocked down and I get up again. And I'm not a singer, but it's a really great song to get back up again. You don't have to stay down. So we finished this Hollywood movie in 2007. And I just said, peace out, dude. I'm done. And I said, I'm going to move from Texas to Colorado and kind of start my life over again, because this just wasn't making a difference in the world, because I had such a yearning to make a difference in the world.
Mm.
So I ended up, after that stint of, automotive, telecom, Hollywood, I was really sick. I was 37 years old in 2007, 23 years of migraine headaches, cystic acne. My hair was falling out, believe it or not. If people see this on video, I have a lot of hair and it's thick and it's beautiful and it's awesome. And I had liver problems, thyroid problems. There was a lot of challenging, health issues that I had. And I was thinking, well, as you get older, you just get more unhealthy, right? Because that's what is put into our heads. We have to get out of that mindset. I was wearing glasses since 19 years old. I had severe chronic asthma. There was a lot of things going on. So I knew I needed to find some answers fast, or I wouldn't be around very much longer. I was diagnosed with severe cardiovascular stress on the verge of a heart attack. Still not my story. So I started not knowing where to begin. So I threw myself into all this research into medicine, alternative and complementary therapies, and ancient things. What did the ancients do? How come they weren't as sick as we are today? So I ended up writing a book, um, and talked a lot about the background, but unlocking the ancient secrets to healing, and how science is now looking at the past for the future of medicine. So here we are. We know Edgar Cayce, Nikola Tesla, Albert Einstein, all talking about frequencies. Royal Rife talking about frequencies.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're vibrational beings of light from source energy, why weren't we healing with sound and light? So my engineering mind was going off, and I ended up doing some sessions in a light chamber in Arizona, and it all just kind of came into focus. My asthma was gone, my migraines got less intense and less painful, and my eyesight improved. So this started me on the journey of, we don't have to age. Somebody's hoodwinked us into believing old age, we get worse. I am the best shape and most healthy I've ever been in my entire life, and I'm 53.
Yeah, I was gonna say earlier, but you were on a roll. You don't look a day over 33,
I get,
34.
yeah,
You look amazing. Like you look younger than me.
I don't
And
know how old you are, and I won't make you say it, but
yeah, let's
yes,
let's
yeah,
not,
we'll just
because
leave that. So,
after that whole thing, I'm like, man.
yeah, yeah, I am 53. I'll be 54 this year, and I am loving life, and I'm trying to just educate and inspire people. My next book's going to be about not being your identity. I
Mm,
want people to not be a mom or a CEO or a daughter or an aunt or a homeless person, whatever it is. You don't have to be your identity. I've been through heck, and I wouldn't be the person I am today if I didn't have the experiences that I had. So I embrace them. I love them. Being
mhm,
molested by the priest of the parish in your Catholic church isn't something that you want to like have an experience with. But now I get to teach people how to get over that, how to
mm.
not be your story, how to not let it bring you down, how to get back up again, and how to just go. And so, with the earth element in your program now in your the season, it's about abundance, it's about survival, it's about food and shelter and security and relationships and stability and calmness and focus. So I want to share with people, and you did share this on your podcast recently about the tone of C being
Yes.
part of the earth element in the root chakra. When I work with sound and light therapy, we do use the different tones. One of my mentors is Ani Williams. She's brilliant. And she talks about when you're missing a tone from your voice, it will correlate to a physical or emotional ailment. So, what I love
Mm,
about that is we can replenish our tones. If you're born under the sign of Aries, you might be missing the tone of C. If you're born under the sign of Leo, on the planet, those tones may have been diminished or missing. So then people say, oh, well, I'm a Scorpio, so I have a lot of problems with my colon, or I'm a Leo and I have problems with my lungs, or I'm a Aries and I have problems with my kidneys or my heart. The earth element is kind of associated with the spleen, the pancreas, and the stomach. And so that can be a lot of worry. So, how can we not worry? How can we know that 90% of what we worry about really doesn't come to fruition? So how can we give your audience some tools to meditate and to just know that they are supported, they are taken care of, and to increase the power of their root chakra and their earth element, right?
that's right. If we really think about it, the earth is constantly supporting us. Literally, our feet, our entire lives are being supported by the earth. And everything we eat is provided by the earth. And everything we drink is provided by the earth. Our entire house is built from materials provided by the earth. So feeling sustained by earth and being reminded that even if you don't have your house, like homeless people are out without a home. Sometimes they have tents, sometimes they have cardboard boxes, but I have definitely known homeless people to just lay down on the floor and sleep. And if you think about it, no matter where you go, there's always a floor. There is always a tree to shelter you from rain. There's always a cave somewhere you can find. There's always going to be, some sort of food source. You have to know, you have to do research, you have to be careful. You can't just start eating random berries in the forest, and you should probably be careful about those things. Don't go eating the mushrooms. But our earth provides everything. And I think when we get into that worry or the fear state, it's because we forget, like, somehow
Absolutely.
our mind overrides the knowingness that is in our soul. that the earth provides.
I
And the
love it.
earth provides stability, and it is just embracing what is already available to you and knowing that things will pan out as long as you have trust in the unlimited resources that our planet seems to have. I mean, a lot of our resources get regenerated. We can cut down forests, but the trees are always sending out seeds to plant more. And when humans are gone, those seeds will sprout. You know, we could drill all the oil out of the planet, but when our generation dies several thousand million years later, our bones will be the next petroleum oil for the next generation. We forget that the earth, it doesn't run out. It takes life and it composts it and turns it into resources. And we can do that with our stress too. We can take our stress and our fears and our diseases and we can extract wisdom and knowledge and trust that we can transform, transmute, and transition through these things into a better stage. I didn't mean to take all that to say
That's
that, but
beautiful. That's beautiful. But I want to educate your, you said something about don't just eat random berries off the land. My
yeah.
friend, Bayou Bob, owns the Brazos River Rattlesnake Ranch in Santo, Texas. He taught me how to live off the land on a lot of ways. And he's crazy. Just think about he's calling himself Bayou Bob. He's crazy. And he plays with
That's a
rattlesnakes.
cool name though.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
have to admit it sounds like the main character of a kid's cartoon.
yeah.
Bayou
He's
Bob.
a
Hey,
Bayou
I'm
Bob.
Bayou Bob.
Yeah.
I'm here to
He's a
say eat
character.
the
He's 80.
berries.
I think he's in his 80s now, but he's so sweet. But he's like, oh, if you ever eat, grasshoppers, just make sure you pull the legs off because those little razors can go. And he eats them and he pulls the legs. I'm like, oh my gosh. But he did tell me if you are going to live off the land, you can do a different test to see if something is edible. First of all, you can look at the poop of the animals, and if they're eating it, it's probably okay for you to eat. But you rub something on your lip and you wait 4 hours. If your lip doesn't react, you take a little bite of it. Make sure there's a lot of it around. You don't want like just one bush and that's all you can eat. If you find a lot of stuff, you put it in your mouth, you chew it, and then you spit it out. Wait 4 hours. If your tongue doesn't get swollen or something like that, you don't have a reaction. The next part of the test is to chew a little bit and swallow it. Still no reaction after 4 hours, you can probably eat it. A pretty cool test. I mean,
That is
that is valuable knowledge.
that is valuable knowledge.
Yeah. So that was
Um
really cool.
does so I mean, I grew up very sheltered and I went camping and all, but I have not done much wildcrafting. I am definitely not the wildcrafting specialist, but when you're going out wildcrafting, do you recommend cleaning your food?
Yeah, right, right.
Or do you just go ahead and like, oh, I know these are blueberries.
Yeah.
Like that was a genuine curiosity question because
So
I don't
I
know.
I do rinse off my food that's been in the environment because you never know what environmental pollutants have maybe fallen on it.
True.
Or an animal could have lifted its leg on it, right? So I
That is
rinse it off,
also true.
right? Um, and I do have what's the app called? Picture This, and it's a plant app. I have a lot of different wild native plants on my land. So I take pictures and see how it can be used. So I actually grow yarrow and make teas, put it in my smoothies. I think in a past life, I may have been an alchemist of some sort with herbs and
Mm.
tinctures because it seems almost second nature for me to do this. And so I grow alfalfa on my land for my horse. And so there's just a lot of stuff that I love to put together and make remedies and things like that, but just usually for myself. But I do rinse things off. And there's a lot of sand and dirt just to, I don't want it to be all crunchy in my teeth.
Oh yeah, those are all very good points. I watch survival shows like Alone or Naked and Afraid.
Right.
the good ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I never really, you see them going and gathering, but I never really see anybody rinsing. I've even seen people pick up dead fish off the ground. And I've been told when I went fishing, you don't eat something that's been dead, because
Right.
parasites,
Yes.
that you're supposed to catch living things because less chance of parasites.
Right.
But I mean, in that show, you see people just like picking things off the bushes and just nomming away. So I appreciate your advice and all of the different contaminants that could
Yeah.
possibly inflict uh poisons and
Well, we
toxins
have
onto your.
airplanes flying over all the time, dropping, fuel and whatever it is that they're dropping onto our land, onto our bodies, into our hair. So
Oh
it's
man, I don't even
definitely,
think about that. That's a good point.
yeah, when we do heavy metal tests, people do a hair analysis on a heavy metal test, but I always recommend the urine challenge. I think it's more accurate because like I said, I'm crazy. So when I did my heavy metal test, I did a hair test and a urine test, sent them in at the same time to see what results. Very different results. So I think what was in my hair wasn't really in my body, but what was in my urine. And a 6 hour, pee in a bottle for 6 hours, you shake it up, you send a little sample. I think that's going to be more accurate than doing a hair sample on heavy metals, but there's different schools of thought on that.
That's really interesting. I've done some tests, like heavy metal tests, because I have MS, so I have to get I have to get testing a lot. And I don't think they've done a hair test on me. They definitely have done like heavy metal, uh urine in a cup tests, but
Right.
just hearing you talk about like the jet fuel, like you don't really you're in a plane, you're not really thinking about where is all that fuel going when it's being, but that is such an incredible point. Like it's not just like rising out of the atmosphere, it obviously has to go somewhere and it's in our air. And this is what, over a century now, over several centuries now of plain fuel that is in our oxygen and all over the planet and on our, I mean, that's so crazy. And how many flights there are a day? Oh my God, that I've never heard anybody bring that up. I mean, we've heard of
Yeah.
chemtrails, obviously,
It's
but that
right, right.
one's,
Contrails,
I
chemtrails, I'm an engineer, so I always think, I try to think through all the what ifs,
mm-hmm,
but I definitely know that we are creating more pollution. And right now, where I live in the area of Colorado, they are raping the land so much with, I have oil rigs south, east, west,
oh man,
um, north, all through here. And the land feels very sad and
mm,
very gray. Like it's just, they're just killing this land. And yes, it will replenish, like you said. But when you go in from the north, the east, the south, and the west, and you just pull everything out, and you're not giving the land a chance to replenish or, integrate. I know the land's happy to give, and we
mm-hmm,
need heat, and we need, electricity, and we need these things for our convenient survival. But we are so disrespectful of the land,
mm-hmm,
and so I've tried to do some, shamanic work on the land to help the land to heal. And I do have my neighbors who say, "Oh my gosh, your prairie wildflowers are so beautiful and they're everywhere." And you can kind of see it goes out from my property and then it stops. It's where I do my work. It's where how far my energetic reach is. And then it
mm,
kind of stops and then it's bare again. So I just wish that more people would respect the land and big business would respect the environment. And we really need to make some changes. I've called our 9 News and Fox 30 News, but 31, I should say. And they didn't even respond to me. I said, this doesn't seem right. They're doing it from all directions. And they could go slower and respect the land and let it
mm.
replenish and then take some more and replenish. But, as Americans, we're just quick fix and I mean mine,
Consume,
take
consume,
whatever we want.
consume.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, think like I know I'm a average American citizen, and I can tell you, I know that I buy a lot from the Amazon. Not the Amazon forest, which is what I wish it were. But, there's a lot of positives to this new way of making sure people have the things they need and want. But
But
I
we're getting
also
away from the earth
recognize that
element.
these objects are usually dispensed of within 5 years.
Yeah.
And
And
the
we're
amount
getting
of
away from earth.
boxes and packaging. And yes, I break it down and I recycle, but at the same time, I know there's a lot of people who don't.
Yeah.
And in what you were saying about, you know, um, the oil rigs, and I know when I lived in California, there were certain laws. In my town, we had these big oil rigs on this one hill that were just like, pumping for years. There was probably like 10 of them, in this one area. At the end of that 10 years though, they were all put out of commission in that area, and they moved, I think it was like 50 or 60 miles up the road. I don't know if that's a California thing or if that's like how it is everywhere else, where there's like a time limit of how long you're allowed to kind of gather that resource and then you have to move on. But I
That's a
mean,
good
to
question.
hear that it's
It
happening in
feels,
all directions in Colorado is
yeah.
heartbreaking, because I love
Mhm.
Colorado. It's such a beautiful, beautiful place.
It is. It is. And it breaks my heart because I can feel the land just being depleted. And just like anything else, it's energy work on the land. And so when we
Hmm.
do energy work on ourselves, we have to make sure that we're also not depleting ourselves because we do energy work and we have to let it integrate and we have
Hmm.
to let it digest. And so I feel like when they're pulling all this out of the land and they're not letting it replenish or, they're letting the land digest what's happening, it's so disrespectful. And I really believe that we're coming into with the age of Aquarius and with taking our own power back.
Hmm.
I think we're coming into a place where we're going to have more respect. I want to see um, more kindness, more love, more happiness, more gratitude. And I think if we can get to this place, we're going to see less disease because I don't believe that disease lives in love and joy and happiness. It lives in fear.
It
Disease
does.
lives in shame and guilt. And so we want to make sure that we're working on ourselves internally to to lead by example. And I am so blessed. Wherever I go, I see more kindness, but I also expect to see more kindness. So I have a lot of people that go, "Oh, I'm getting screwed everywhere, everything, this and that." And then I try to say, everybody is giving to me. I am receiving, and then I get more. So I'm seeing that come into my life where I was making a statement. Oh my gosh, no one respects me. I'm a woman. I own a business. I work with a lot of male vendors. No big deal. But I started saying to myself, these guys don't respect me and I'm not respected. And I thought, oh my gosh. And I was attracting more
You're
of it.
attracting more of
And so
that. Yes.
I was like, okay, so I'm going to change this. I am respected. And then my little girl self came through and she said, everybody loves me. And I'm like, where did that come from? It was like my little 6-year-old girl self. And she just said, everybody loves me. So I started saying, I am respected. Everybody loves me in this little giddy 6-year-old girl self. It was so cute. So then I attracted more of that.
Hmm.
So like Wayne Dyer says, when you change the way you see things, the things you see will change. So
Yes.
I'm seeing more kindness, more consideration because I expect it and I'm looking for it. And so people
Hmm.
aren't cutting me off on the road anymore. People are, waving me on. And I'm working with vendors who are so generous. They're just saying, "Oh, well, let's just do this for you for free because then we can make your technology even better if we do this." And I have people helping me market. They said, "Oh, we're just going to do this because we love what you're doing and you're helping the planet to heal by helping the people, one person at a time. So let us help you." And it is really hard for me to receive. I've always been a
Mm.
giver. So now having that balance in my life, it feels like everything's just working and flowing. And so now I sign my emails, let it flow.
I love that. And what's so interesting is I just had a session last week where I had a client come in and their self-talk, telling me about their life and what was going on very much was this: people do this to me, I feel bad. And like it just I kind of stopped them at a certain point. I was like, you know, you do realize how you're talking about yourself right now. Like, we're not really even in a session yet, I haven't gotten you on the table, but how you're talking about yourself is showing me that a lot of what you're experiencing is self-actualized. And they were very confused and were like, what do you mean by that? I was like, well, you believe in karma, correct? They're like, yes. And I was like, so what about the karma that you do against yourself? What about every time you say something negative about yourself? What about every single time that you are approving of someone's opinion by verbalizing it when you're, venting? Yeah, you can have a moment where you're venting, but then go home, stand in front of the mirror, and like speak the opposite. Reverse that dialogue. I like explained to them, I was like, just start speaking more positive to yourself, about what you want, because how you speak into existence, it's all about frequency, it's about vibration. You're here getting sound healing. If you don't believe in sound healing, why are you paying me money? you know don't pay
I
me.
think
I'm
they believe it and they want a quick fix because in our society, we have these pills now that are a quick fix. So
Yep.
now we're coming into the future of medicine, which is frequency medicine, and we're going to have to educate people on how best to utilize it. Brilliant what you did for her. I
Mm-hmm.
would have clients come in, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. And they some of them bring a whole notebook and they have 2 or 3 pages of what's wrong. And I will have them sit down and I say, I want you to write down what is right.
What is right and what
What
do
is
you
right?
want?
Right. What do you desire? So I have people do a meditation. If you want to do this, we can do a quick meditation too.
Absolutely.
And so I would have everybody just close their eyes and I would have them think about what they would like to attract to their life. And let's say we'll just use the example and then you can fill in the blank, the perfect job. So you want to attract the perfect job and you fill in the blank what that is for you, what you want to manifest. And feel in all the cells of your being throughout your entire body what it would feel like to be so excited to wake up in the morning and your alarm doesn't even go off because you cannot wait to get up and start your day and get up and start that life in this new job, whatever it is. Even if it's your dream is to create your own business, what would it feel like? And then feel in all the cells of your being, every part of your being, to have people lined up out the door. And it might not manifest into a physically lined up out the door, but your calendar is full all the time. And feel that in all the cells of your being. And just hold that space every day. Do this in the morning before you wake up. Feel what it would feel like to have what you desire. And just sit in silence with that and just own that and just know that you are a powerful being and anything that you want is it can be yours. We are told that we can't have things for control, for fear, but really we are the most powerful beings. We are the most amazing technology. Our bodies, there's no technology on the planet that is better than our bodies. It is beautiful. So feel what you desire, all the cells of your being, and hold that and just know that it's already done.
I love that. Thank you.
It's always hard to do those on a radio show or a podcast because you don't like the silence. But people can take that information and just do it for their health. If
Mm-hmm.
you're having a lot of pain, feel what it would feel like in all the cells of your being. And you probably remember when you weren't in pain,
Mm-hmm.
feel what that would feel like to not be in that pain and bring that forward. Susie Miller works with autistic children. And one time she went into a session and she acted out as if she was the nurse giving the vaccine that caused the autism to come up. And she went into the room, the parents were there, and they said, "Okay, do you want the vaccine?" And they said, "No." And they replayed the whole story without the vaccine. And actually, the little boy got better because they just erased the decision, took their power back, and moved forward. And the cells knew, and it kind of erased it.
Wow.
There's
So
so much power in
they
that.
did a visualization practice,
Yep,
went back into the past,
correct.
made a decision in the past that they were pretty sure was the moment of time that caused struggle in their life. They
Correct.
made a different decision, and more than just visualizing it, they actualized it into the cells in their bodies. They felt
Correct.
their body vibrating with that reality, and then they played through the entire, all of what would have happened after that choice. And then after they did this meditation, weeks later, this child felt better, correct?
Yes, correct. It's a
Wow.
beautiful story. Beautiful story.
I did have a
We create our
meditation
reality.
like what you're describing in January, as I had the New Year's, how to manifest the reality you want, and it was very similar to the meditation you just gave. And I love how you just reverted back into the past and showed that you can even exact change, even if it's not in the present, even if it's not something you feel you have power over right now. You can go back and alter it with this practice.
Yeah. We also created a sovereignty agreement recently because if you've been, raped or molested or something like that, you can take back your power. It's all energy. The whole
Yeah,
world is energy. We create our own reality. And so anything that we want to manifest, we can. But a lot of times we're manifesting, oh, I just know someone's going to cut me off in traffic. And guess what?
they
You're
do.
right. Whether you think you're right, what is it? Henry Ford said, whether you think you're right or whether you think you're wrong, you're correct.
Yeah,
It is true. So
it
you
is.
can go back and shift the energy. And so we did a sovereignty agreement so people could take back their power, and whether they willingly or unwillingly signed up for something, they get to cancel that contract.
That's amazing. I love that. So, for the listeners out there, this is something you guys can do today. After the show, pick up a pen and paper, write down moments in your life that you felt had a negative impact, whether you lost your power, whether someone took advantage of you, whether you got injured and it affected you long term, or you got sick because of a choice you made, blah, blah, blah. Go do this meditation where you are putting yourself in that moment, all of yourself, not just your mind, all of yourself, and play it out the way that it would go if you hadn't made that choice. But make your list so that maybe every day you do one of those things. Just see what happens if you go down a list of all the things you wish you had done differently. I think that sounds like a really fun practice. I think I'm going to do it.
I have had so many struggles over the years, and I realized that my mom was very judgmental and critical. She's no longer with us. And of course, I am my mother. We are our mothers. We are our fathers. We are. And, people might say, oh, I'm not at all. But ask some of your friends that know you and your mom or your dad. They're going to tell you, you know. And so
Yeah,
it took a lot of work, a lot of work. People call it shadow work, whatever you want to call it. It took a lot of freaking work to get out of the habit of, a girl walks by, oh, why is she wearing that short skirt? Oh, another girl walks by, oh, she's so pretty. I wish I was pretty. No, it took a lot of work for me to know who I am, to love who I am, and to not want to be anybody else but me. It took a lot of work. I'm 53 years old and I still work on it. There's still things that come up. And I just wrote an article called Triggers or Treasures, because if something triggers you, it's an opportunity for you to grow as a
that's
soul,
right.
as a human. And so honor those triggers and go back in the past and say, when was the last time I felt like this? So
Mm,
it's a silly story, but I had some $5 bags of horse shavings in my back of my car. And I was walking out to the barn and I thought, when I get back to my car, someone's going to have stolen those. It was a gated community in a horse boarding facility. Is And I thought, where did that come from?
mm,
When I was a kid, probably 6, 7, 8 years old, my brother used to steal things from my room. And that's what came up. I knew when I went back to my room, he was going to have gone in there and stole my stuff. And he did. And so I had to clear that. And I thought, oh my gosh. So I called him up and I told him, he's like, oh my gosh, that's funny. The purple comb. I said, yes, you always stole that purple comb. Stupid stuff, but it comes up again later in life.
mm.
So see it as a treasure. You can go back and fix that because that's still in your subconscious
Yeah,
and you can go back and fix it. So your body's always sending you messages for you to heal from trauma, heal from pain. Most pain is emotional. So when you look at people with knee pain, it's usually about stubbornness, inflexibility, not wanting to move forward. So
that's
you
right.
start looking at what area of the body are you hurting? And you need to look at what is that message? What is your body trying to tell you? Because if you don't listen, ultimately it just gets louder and louder and starts screaming at you. And then you have, the chronic diseases.
Yeah, we
Because
actually
over
talked
time,
about that in episode 3 for this
oh, nice.
season. We talked about listening to our bodies and how to have a dialogue with pain, how to have a dialogue inside your body, and how to give your body permission to tell you certain things and show you what it would feel like in certain different ways. I hope that makes sense. If you guys are curious, go listen to episode go listen to episode 3.
You're
Um
absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It's brilliant for people. Dr. Zach Bush left the medical practice that he had because he said he was tired of people coming in saying, what do I do? What do I take? Tell me what to do. He wanted to teach people to listen to their body and then
mm,
they would know what to do, what to take, when to take it. And I think it was so beautiful of an expression of love that he would leave the medical practice where he was probably making a lot of money, but he didn't feel like it was his path. He didn't feel of integrity. And so he said, I need to teach people to know what to do, when to take it, what they need. And so that's why we're going to do this documentary coming up, starting, we're going to film next month. And we're going to have a lot of experts on the panel in the cast talking about food being your medicine, listening to your body, music being your medicine, how to use energy, properly. And then we're going to have attorneys who were, in the medical field who saw, sick doctors trying to, heal sick people. So, she left, and we have a neuroscientist coming on to talk about science, and most science
mm,
is paid for. You have a study, you read the study, and you say, okay, well, who paid for this? Because you can pay for any results you want.
yeah. I love that you're doing a documentary and that you're investing your time and your resources into providing a well-rounded, probably non-judgment based, pretty unbiased place to help
Yeah.
people understand all these different angles into their wellness, and where it sounds like you're trying to help the general public understand like what really happens behind the scenes. Yes, we all go to the doctor, but what's happening behind the curtain? Because
Well, we're not even going to go there. We're going to say we want people to take their power back. You know,
mm,
I'm sure most people, common sense will tell them what's going on. But if we give them tools and we give them a unbiased, neutral reality of what's going on in how we can collectively shift the consciousness of the planet, I just want it to be a very inspiring, very non-judgmental, not political, not conspiracy theory. Just give them some information to grow some seeds that I think they'll say, that makes a lot of sense. Or I didn't think about that. Or I didn't realize that when they pick my food and they pick a green tomato and it ripens in a truck on the way, in a plane, on the way to the grocery store, sits under fluorescent lights, then goes in my refrigerator, it has no nutrients because it didn't have time to mature on the vine. And we
Yeah.
all know how a garden tomato tastes. I can't eat tomatoes from the store. I grew up with a garden. My dad had a garden. The tomatoes just taste different. I grow
There
kale.
might be people, I can't recall the time I've had like a not a store tomato.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can imagine, but I'm sure my imagination is not as vibrant as
Oh, the
picking
taste
one
is
off a vine.
it's divine, the taste, because you're getting, the maturity of it. So think about this was what my analogy. If you would ask a 5-year-old kid what to do with your finances, they're not
Oh
mature.
man, they
They
would
have no
go
idea.
Toys
So
R
you
Us. They'd go
right, right,
Toys R Us, and I would not have to worry about finances because I'd have none.
right. So we ask people who are mature, but we don't eat mature food because it hasn't matured on the vine and it's dying under the fluorescent lights and in the truck and out in the
Mm,
planes. So we're going to teach about that. We're going to teach about how microgreens, it's easy to grow microgreens in your house, have 800% more nutrients than, the stuff that you're getting off the shelves. So I have a hydroponic garden at my house. I have microgreens. I have a little garden in my basement. So
wow.
I'm trying to grow, my own food so I get some nutrients. Of course, I can't grow everything, so I have to buy stuff. But
Hmm.
then I try to buy organic when I can, and so we want to teach about that. We're also going to teach about love and the frequency of love and how we feel like love heals. I mean, the Beatles said it, all we need is love. I miss
They
the songs
they're
from the
right.
60s and 70s. They were just so much more heartfelt than what we hear now.
Yeah. I'm a sucker for the Beatles and Simon and Garfunkel and Cat Stevens.
Right? Cat Stevens. Oh my gosh, love
I
him.
love Cat Stevens.
So yeah,
Probably
so
gonna go listen to
talking
his
about
record after this interview, to be honest with you.
good, good. I mean, you dance around the house and there's different music that you just don't resonate with, and there's music that you do. So when you look at, okay, maybe you needed the guitar, maybe you needed the guitar in the tone of C that day, and that's why it makes you feel so good. Maybe you needed some intense drumming because we're finding that drumming builds the immune system. We're finding when we
Mm,
do sessions in the Harmonic Egg, and we won't people can learn about that technology. I don't want to waste time on this to talk about it, but flute music is helping the liver. Piano music is helping reset the autonomic nervous system because the sound waves of those instruments are affecting different organs and systems of our body. So we use the tone of C to help the root chakra with the color red, which is earth, going
mm.
back to the earth element. So
It's
tie
so
it all
interesting.
together, bring it back.
I want to know more about that. You could please let's talk after about the different instruments because I use a lot of instruments in my sound therapy and shamanic work. And a lot of times I just have my team of friends that they pretty much go and I feel out which instrument does this client need, and I have their health history and I know what we're working on, I know what my goals are. But you just mentioned that the flute helps with the liver, and I swear I recently had a client who came in and had like alcoholic problems, and they're trying to heal that and they're trying to work on that. And I, out of all the instruments I have singing bowls, I have guitars, I've got piano, I got harp, I've got flute, ocarina, I've got didgeridoo, I've got so many drums, I've got rattles. All these things I use sparingly on clients, but out of all the instruments, that was the only instrument that was being shown to me to use. And I
Well,
remember just going, "Are you guys sure you don't want me doing the singing bowl with the toning?" And they're like, "No." And I was like,
we
"Okay."
well, and we know we store anger in our livers. So I've had people go on the flute music and just tell me how much they felt in their liver and how they were calmer and they released a lot of anger, road rage, different things like that. So It's beautiful. There is no one size fits all. I love what you're doing because you're right. There's not one client that's going to be the same. And even if you had that client come back and you did the same thing, they're different.
Yep.
So it's not that way. And so these people that are doing energy work, I just want, everybody to know there is no one size fits all. You have to find the combination that works for you,
That's
whether
right.
it's massage and Reiki, or it's acupuncture and Reiki, or it's a cryo chamber and a hyperbaric chamber. You have to find what unlocks the healing for you. And so you have to listen to your body. And I don't focus on the solfeggio suite because a lot of the 528 hertz and 396 hertz, if you listen to it with MP3 files, you're not getting the integrity of the music. You have to do a WAV file or as an AIF file. So we use WAV files only. And so thank you, Apple, for making us want to have 1,000 songs on an iPod. So they're all compressed and cold and clinical, and they have really zero integrity. Because if you think about a waveform and it goes up and down like an AC current, and
Mm.
you cut off the top of that and you cut off the bottom of that, you're losing so much by compressing it. So they're
Mm.
cold and clinical. And so people, they listen to this music, but I've found with Kay Gardner's work, you'll love this book, Sounding the Inner Landscape. She's passed, but Kay Gardner talks about the waveforms of instruments instead of just 528 hertz or 396. Because I feel like some days I might be resonating or vibrating at 396 hertz. Some days I'm at 1,000 hertz. So why would I
Mm.
want to listen to 528 if I'm at 1,000?
That's right.
So the waveforms of the instruments are always beneficial to me because I can pick guitar or flute or bowls or drumming or whatever it is that I need in the moment. So when I wrote the training manual for the Harmonic Egg and all the centers, we have protocols. And each one will say, okay, this is flute and guitar, which will help with sugar cravings. This one is blah and blah, and this will help with building the immune system. And this one, so all the protocols are designed for the intentions that the clients will come in for. It's so fun.
That's awesome. Well, I know your comment about thanks Apple, right? It's
Yeah.
funny because I record all my podcasts on Apple devices because they have GarageBand and I use GarageBand.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is when you export from GarageBand, it goes into it's a .wav file. And some programs don't accept that, so you do have to like change it into an MP3. But like all of my podcast episodes are a .wav file
Yep.
because that's what gets exported from GarageBand. So I don't know what they put on the iPods. I know like I still have my iPod. That's what I listen to like every day in my car. And I know they have the wave on the audio. So, I mean, but I also know MP3s don't. Like when you
Yeah.
have like one of
Yeah.
those like cheap knockoff MP3 players, it's just the bar. But I know on my iPod it shows like the actual like fluctuations in the music. I
You can change your settings, but also there's new MP3 players like the Hi-Fi Walker, and they have a DAC technology. So you can
oh,
actually you can actually use those, and you can change the settings on the iPod too. So,
let's bring back the MP3 players.
right?
I
So,
don't want to have to put my phone into my ears and get interrupted when I'm in the zone by a phone call. I also don't like having my phone on my body because
yeah,
of the weird it's sending signals everywhere. MP3 players don't. They just
right.
play music.
Well, I cringe when I see men putting their iPhone or their smartphone, whatever phone they have, into their pocket by their heart. I cringe. And I will tell you that when I put my phone in my back pocket, which I try not to do, it's usually my jeans pocket, the back right. I do have a hip issue, and I'm pretty sure it's from having the phone. So I've talked to several people and they say, I have a hip issue. I said, is that where you store your phone? I've had nurses where they put it in their schmucks and then the front right, their hip hurts on the right.
Yep.
So it is something. There is something there. Of course, they don't tell us in the technology world all the dangers, but
Also,
I
right
only
hip
use,
issues are from
wired
driving. I
headphones.
actually talked about this in my last episode.
Yes,
Right hip issues are from
I'll have to
driving
listen to that one
because we only
because
use
I
our
have a
right leg
chiropractic
now.
appointment pretty soon because I got to go.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, you're fine. I'm gonna have to listen to that episode.
I'd love to hear what you think of it.
Yes,
So,
because I have a chiropractic
um,
adjustment, for my hip here after this interview.
So thank you so much for bringing up. I mean, you talked about working on the land. I really had a lot of questions about, do you work with the ley lines and all that? We'll have to cover that another time. But I mean, thank you for sharing those meditations. I would love to give you a chance to let the audience know what you offer, what is going on right now. You talked about your documentary. What else do you have to offer going on in your life right now?
So I guess let's just take this quick minute to talk about the harmonic egg. It's a sound and light healing chamber. It uses sacred geometry, and I'm going to bring this back to the earth element as well. Um, it's sacred geometry. It's the golden ratio. I also use Tesla mathematics of three sixes and nines in designing it. So everything is very much aligned with nature, but it's made out of wood. So it's like forest bathing inside of a large wooden egg, which sounds very funny, but it's true. And the wood element is very grounding, very much complements what you're doing with the earth element. And you can use it for grounding as if you're in the forest without all the bugs, buzzing around your ears and face. Like I went to Asheville, North Carolina. I had to wear my sunglasses in the forest because there were so many gnats and these little things flying at my eyes. So I created that. It's you're in there for 50 minutes. There's 40 minutes of music and 10 minutes of silence. I also believe that silence is golden, and in the silence is where the magic happens. We
Mhm.
don't get enough silence in our world because of all our technology these days. So you won't have any Bluetooth, any Wi-Fi, you won't have any computer screens that are blasting at you. You're just inside of a wooden chamber. The electronics are outside, so it acts as a bit of a Faraday cage with EMFs because we've tested the EMFs. So the 10 minutes of silence is beautiful for you to tune into your body and really get to know yourself, listen to your body. And so I wrote a book, and then I also have the Harmonic Egg music for sale for downloads. When you download the music, it comes with a song sheet, and it'll tell you what tone it's created in, what instruments were used, and what you can use it for, what chakra it can help evoke or invoke, or what organ it can help support. And it'll also tell you the colors that are associated with it. You can use colors at home every day. So I chose green today because you talked about green being kind of the earth element. It's a neutral color. That's why the trees are green, the grass is green. It's a neutral color. And then I have wood earrings on, so they're made out of wood. So the earth element for that.
They're very
But you can
beautiful. I've been
thank
looking
you.
at them most of the
They're
interview.
so light. They're wood. And I know I shouldn't be wearing dangly earrings on interviews, but I do anyway. Um, so I also have a peridot ring on, green. So you can use colors at home. Eat the rainbow, live the rainbow, wear the rainbow. These are frequencies. So we want to have that balance. You want to have enough reds and oranges. Some people say they hate the color orange. Orange is success. Orange is the sacral chakra. You have to have balance, mind, body, spirit, all the colors, eat the colors. My boyfriend wears black shirt every day and jeans. It's so boring. And his skin is so, he's not really absorbing colors. And so his skin seems more wrinkly and old because he's just always wearing black. So white is all colors, black is no color. So you can do this at home. You can buy colored lights that you can sit under and meditate. You can, like I said, eat the foods, and you can wear the clothes and jewelry. It's just fun, like break it up, shift it up.
Love that. And since
Yeah, so
rainbows are
everything can be found in
such
one
a
place.
big theme here, thanks
Yeah,
for the
exactly. Rainbow
thanks for
rising.
the
Yeah,
small little rainbow tidbits.
right, right. Right. I was all these things on my list, but we went in all these different directions, which I love talking to you because we're like, oh, and then this, and then squirrel. Oh, pretty shiny thing. So it's really just fun, and I just enjoy having conversations. But yeah, eat the rainbow, wear the rainbow, surround yourself with color. You see that I have a blue office, so blue's calming, blue's anti-inflammatory, reduces inflammation, and then I also have quartz crystals that I ground up and put in a powder that's inside the paint. That'll help with the all the electronics I have in here.
That's amazing. That is such a neat idea for all those out there thinking about redecorating. Grind up some crystals and throw it in your paint.
Yeah, yeah, they got to be powder though. You don't want like chunky crystals.
No chunky crystal. Well, thank you so much once again for joining us here on Rainbows Rising. I really appreciate your time today. I know you have something coming up. So, if any of you listeners are interested in connecting with Gail, I have all of her social media information in the description below. Please check her out. Thank you once again, Gail, for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I hope you guys all have a wonderful rest of your day and keep ascending together. Bye.